I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation. Thank you, Mr. President. We're grateful to the Special Envoy of the Secretary General, Martin Griffith, and Under Secretary General Mark Lowcock for a comprehensive review of the military and political situation in Yemen and the humanitarian situation. We welcome the progress achieved by the parties in the course of the fourth joint meeting of the Redeployment Coordination Committee under the leadership of General Losgard. We'd also like to note the efforts in deploying the United Nations mission to support the Hodeidah Agreement, which is meant to contribute to bolstering inter-Yemeni agreements reached in Stockholm and aimed at accelerating the process of disengagement of the warring parties and their redeployment. This will no doubt make a significant contribution to reducing violence, not only in Hodeidah, but beyond. Mr. President, we are aware that we should not expect or demand immediate results. I think we need to be patient and coherent. However, we would like to believe that we are now entering a new phase in the resolution of the Yemeni conflict. In this connection, we highly value the efforts of the UN in promoting the implementation of the Stockholm Agreement, and in particular the mediation efforts of Martin Griffith and General Losgard. We hope that they will help the parties to realize the self-defeating nature of a solution to the conflict using force, and that it's not viable. Russia, from the very beginning of the Yemeni conflict, was in favor of its diplomatic resolution using exclusively dialogue among the Yemeni parties. We continue to assist through our contacts with all political forces and all concerned parties, encouraging them to find constructive approaches and refraining from violence. Unfortunately, we have to note that in spite of the fragile de-escalation in Hodeidah, the Yemeni conflict continues in full force and resembles a full humanitarian catastrophe. Millions of Yemenis continue to starve and don't have access to medicine services or the assistance they require. The civilian infrastructure is in ruins. The cost of rebuilding the destroyed economy is growing inexorably. Mr. President, we call on the members of the Council to continue with their collective efforts to move the conflict to on the political track, to achieve a comprehensive ceasefire and provide assistance to the Yemeni people. Of priority importance is to provide emergency humanitarian assistance to the Yemenis. Russia, as many other member states of the United Nations, including the closest neighbors of Yemen, will continue to make its contribution in providing assistance to the inhabitants of Yemen. We believe that humanitarian assistance that is provided to Yemen from abroad should be provided to all the inhabitants of the country, independently of who controls the territory where those who need the assistance live. We are in favor of strict adherence to the provisions of international humanitarian law and ensuring unimpeded humanitarian access to all regions of the country. Lastly, it's very important to allow the movement of humanitarian and commercial cargoes along the Hodeidah-Sana route, which links the coast to the north of the country where the bulk of the country's population lives. Mr. President, in conclusion, we would like to once again underscore that setting up a political process in Yemen would be an important contribution to stabilizing the situation in the whole region. We'd like to recall our proposal to launch in the Persian Gulf and possibly ultimately in the whole Middle East the process of developing confidence and security building measures. This kind of architecture, which should include all key countries in the region, the states of the Persian Gulf and Iran, will contribute not only to strengthening a comprehensive and indivisible security in this part of the world, but resolving long-standing and recent crisis situations, including the Yemeni conflict. Threats and conflict should give way to dialogue and cooperation. We need to immediately and through joint efforts to revitalize the atmosphere. And this, by the way, will become the main contribution to success of the efforts of Mr. Martin Griffith. Thank you very much.
Le doy las gracias al señor.
I'd like to thank the representative of the Russian Federation.